Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech Nuovo. My name's Steph and today we're taking a look at a video editing software called Camtasia, which is actually by a company called Techsmith. Now Techsmith you probably know for products like Snagit, which is a screen recording app, Screencast, and Relay, which is a lecture capture solution as well. But as I say, today we're concentrating on Camtasia. Now what I want to do is I'm going to be recording my screen, which you should see appear in a couple of seconds. If I just set this up to record the actual screen itself, it gives you a 3-second countdown and you can click F10 at any time to actually stop the recording that's happening on your screen. But now that's actually recording, I'm just going to be getting on with creating... I want to actually create a Facebook video, you know, those 1:1 aspect ratios that you see on Facebook with the captions on there as well. We're going to be creating one of those. So the first thing is, once you open Camtasia, you're introduced with this. The first thing you have to do is import the media. Now I've got some pre-recorded media on here, which I transferred onto the laptop before starting this video, just so I wasn't wasting time in file transfers. I'm not using the fastest laptop in the world. I'm using something with a Core i5 7th generation processor. There's also 8GB of RAM inside this thing as well, so it's not the fastest thing in the world, but I can still show you that Camtasia is, you can still use Camtasia to its full effect without any kind of horrific slowdown. So as you can see, you've got your, now that I've imported the media, you've got your media bin, which is this top menu here, and all your clips that you can then click and drag onto a timeline. Now you can have multiple tracks on your timeline. It doesn't really matter how many you've got, depending on your workflow and your way of working, basically. But let's just make that a little bit bigger so you can see the tracks here. Track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many you want, and you can scroll up and down to get to them. So, as I said, I wanted to create a Facebook video, which is a 1:1 resolution. So if I just bring that back down again, like so, you can go up to this canvas option up here, and you can choose all these different percentages of the type of fit you want in the actual work area. If you go to project settings, however, you've got all of these different options here as well to change the resolution, to change the aspect ratios, but I want to go to custom. Now I know that Facebook uses a 1080 by 1080 aspect ratio, which is a 1:1. There are apps as well, that social media apps that use 9:16, which is full mobile, but I just want to do 1:1 just to get that on there. So now you can see that white outline, which is the widescreen video that I shot of this particular television. It's a Samsung NU8500 television that I shot not too long ago. But I just want to kind of make a video. Now you've got two options on here. I don't want all of this clip on the timeline, so you can either drag from each corner to the end, or you can click this slice button, or split button as they call it, which splits the actual clip into two different modules, and then you can just delete the one you don't want. And there you go. That's done like that. So now let's pull that to a position where I want it, say something like that. Now I've actually gone a little bit too far and cut a little bit too much off of there. I want a nice equal kind of movement throughout that first clip. There you go, I'm happy with that. Right, so the next thing I want to put in is a caption of what this television actually is. So again, you've got various different options you can choose from: speech bubbles, boxes, arrows if you want to point to something in particular, shapes, blur and highlight modes, which blurs certain areas and highlights other areas of the actual picture itself, sketch motion, and then also keystroke callout. So you see on these Photoshop tutorials, press the Control and A key and you can do this particular shortcut. We're not doing that today, we're just sticking to how to create these videos quickly. So let's make a caption box here. Now as you can see, by default the caption box is white and the text is black. Now it looks okay. I don't particularly want that. We're going to talk about that and change the style in a minute, but let's just change this to, this is the new Samsung NU65 NU8500 television. Now I can already tell that just because of my preference that is far too big in terms of the font. So on the right hand side under properties, that menu is there. You can choose the font you like. Generally, actually Monster is pretty cool. So let's keep that. Let's bring the size down to something a little bit more, what do you call it? A little bit more stylish. So let's do that. So this is the new Samsung. Now what I want to do is to fit in with kind of Facebook trends at the moment. I need to change the color. So that needs to be black, like so. And I need to change the opacity so you can still see what's going on behind it, which is done on this second menu up here. So you've got your first, which is font, alignment, underline, strikeout, auto rotate text, size, that kind of thing. And then you can change the color. Now you'll notice that there is a green bar going across there. I don't like that. So that is called the outline. So you just drop the thickness down. Misclicked there. What I also need to do is I need to change the color of the text to white, so it shows up on there like so. There you go. There is my caption. I've got the box on there. Now, you can leave it like that and you can just have the captions there solid, but what I tend to like to do is animate them. So what I usually do, you can do it a couple of different ways. You've got behaviors, which animates the text letters, and if you hover over them, you can see what the actual animations of each thing do. So explode does a kind of like reverse explosion, fly in letter, so you can choose depending on what you want to achieve. But generally, as this is in a box, I'm going to go to modify, I'm going to go to add animation, and I'm going to go to custom, which puts a custom animation there. So if I go to the very beginning of this actual clip, this caption, drag that off, that will automatically, with that custom animation there, that will put it like that, and that will make it fly in from the bottom. Now the nice thing about that, it isn't kind of like a solid animation, it eases in. Very similar to what happens on After Effects when you use the ease in, ease out or easy ease tools, when you keyframe animations on there. This does it kind of automatically, which is very, very nice. Now you'll notice on the background of this clip where I've been filming, I was listening to music at the same time. I was listening to a bit of Cypress Hill. I don't want that on the video because I want to include a backing track later on. So what I need to do is right click here. I need to go to edit audio, and then I need to just drag that down out the way like so, and then that is just a completely silent track now. So what I also want to do is I want to add another animation. So I need to select the caption box again. I need to add a custom animation, another one, and I need to drag that to the end of the actual clip itself. Now what I also need to do is animate this out. Now if I can pull that away, select the last keyframe, which is the bigger circle of the two, bring that back out, and then put that in the place that I need it to go. That will now animate out. So it's very, very simple to add like sort of subtle animations to your actual work. Now what I also want to do is let's put in a second clip, because I'm going to just make a second caption just to show you a full example. Not that one in particular, because that is not B-roll. That is actually me presenting to the camera. So let's go for this one. This looks quite nice. Some jellyfish on this television. The actual television was really, really nice as well. I was quite impressed with the actual picture quality that I was able to achieve. Even watching some kind of compressed YouTube 4K HDR content, it still looked pretty good. Now remember, I've got to get rid of the audio, so you go to edit audio, bring that down. Now to save me having to make a brand new caption, do the keyframing, all I can do is copy and paste, which leaves the animations in there, it leaves the captions in there as well. And as there's no kind of bin for the captions, there's no problem of it overwriting that original caption. So this is the new Samsung 65mm/400 television, which can produce stunning 4K content as well as produce the latest HDR 10 plus images. So there you go, that's my second caption on there. Now you'll notice now that the two clips have changed. So that first one is really in line, that second one isn't. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to change the properties of the actual video clip itself. So as you can see, it's scaled down to fit inside the work area, but I don't want that. So if I raise that up to 102, I know that number off the top of my head because I've made a few of these already. It keeps everything kind of scaled in line as well. So, and there you go. So the two of those together look something like this. So you've got the animation that comes out. Of course, there's no sound on there. The animation pops down, and then the second one pops up as well, which is quite nice and quite simple to use. If you're, it's funny because I've been brought up and I've used Premiere Pro and After Effects to do all of these kind of animations, and to animate something from scratch, it definitely is very, very time consuming, especially when you're on some kind of deadline. You really need tools, something like this, just to get you through. I mean, we've adopted this piece of software for our Facebook campaigns now. It's very, very easy to use. Now, a few other things you have got, things like transitions. So fade through black, which is kind of like a dip to black in Premiere Pro. It fades from one scene onto the next scene. A standard fade between two scenes. Flips, circle stretches, folding pages, page rolls. But I kind of just like going to, where is it? Some kind of animation. Go to the animations and go to no opacities. Drop that into there, and then that will that'll give you a nice fade out on the actual video itself. Fade out to black, and then that's it. That's the end of the video. Now, also another nice thing about this particular software is if I go to more visual effects, you've got things like color adjustments. Now, this original clip wasn't actually shot on RAW. It was just shot at a muted color profile on a Sony A7 camera. Now, if I drop color adjustment into this particular box, go down into color adjustment, you've got things like brightness, contrast ratios that you can choose, and then saturation on how much color you want in there. You haven't got as much control over this as something like Lumetri color scopes, or what's the other big one? DaVinci Resolve. They are very much professional color grading tools. You haven't got anywhere near as much control as something like that. But you can get some kind of nice looking effects from that if you wanted to. But that's down to you and how much you want to put into that. I just thought I'd show you that just to say you have got that as well. Interactive hotspots, meaning if you embed these videos into a website, you can have a link to which will direct to another website. Device framing, so you can put it inside a laptop screen. Remove color, which is very much chroma keying. In something like After Effects, it will remove a green screen, so you can then put your own backgrounds on there. And then the last thing I want to show you is audio effects. No, it's not audio effects. I want to show you actual audio, which isn't here. Why isn't audio here? Maybe it's in the library, actually. It is. So on here, music tracks, you can go to the music tracks. You've got a few that you can use. There is a library as well that you can go online. So if you go to download more assets, it'll open up a web page for you once it loads. And then you've got some kind of stock videos, lower thirds, images, and audio, music loops, and sound effects. You just go into music, and then you can choose from their entire library with those. Got loads and loads of tracks on there. And then you can also search in audio music. So search something like rock if you want something to do with rock, and then I'll search for some rock, hip hop, jazz, that kind of thing. You can search for whatever you want, and the same in the videos as well. But you have access to that if you buy this software, which is really quite nice. So, with that in mind, I've already downloaded one, should I say, called A Simple Way. So let's get that track into there. Now, I'm not going to mess around with the audio on here because I want to keep that audio at just kind of like one level. I am going to cut that off though at the end, so there's a nice kind of block finish. And then I'm going to go into audio effects and put a fade out on the end as well, which automatically does a fade out. There is a keyframe there that you can edit, so if you want a longer fade out or a shorter fade out, that's up to you, you can. But now you can hear that the music track's on there. And now it'll fade out with everything, along with the sort of like opacity fade as well. So now that we've got a little caption video that we can make and we can upload to social media, of course you can make these as long or as short as you want. Generally around a minute is probably best, but I thought I'd only show you a very, very short one. Oh, actually, last thing before I do finish, if I go back into library, I want to show you the lower thirds and how easy it is to kind of edit those. So if I choose circle ripple, for example, I can stick that over the top of something like that. I don't know why it selected the video then, but I want to change the position of that to up there. And then again in the properties section on the right hand side, you can change it here. So I can put this Technuovo Samsung what is it, a 65 NU 8500 color eclipse star rectangle. You can change the shape if you want, change the color. So our Technuovo color is more of a kind of grayed out cyan. So let's change that. Rectangle 1 and rectangle 2 I quite like. So yeah, let's leave that. Let's leave that in there for now, and then that needs to kind of fade out. What I want to do to get rid of that is I want to modify, I want to add an animation, I want to put a custom animation on there, and then by the time that gets to there, I want to move it back off. So hopefully that will now slide back off, which it did. So that's really, really cool. I'm really happy with that and how that's come out. As I say, it's not your Premiere Pro. It's not a replacement for Premiere Pro or After Effects or anything like that. It just gives you a simple kind of piece of editing software that you can start to get a little bit creative with in terms of your lower thirds and your animations on there. So the nice thing about the software is if I go to the share button top right, I can choose these items and how I want to do that. So if I go to local file, custom production settings, because I'm using the 1080 by 1080, of course, you have got other options, 480p, 720p, 1080p, 480p with Smart Player. But if I just go to custom, because I'm using a custom resolution, 1080 by 1080, that's the easiest thing. The only thing worth changing here is whether you want to embed this into a website and whether you want a custom player to go with it, with play, volume, time codes, settings on full screen. I don't, because it's going onto Facebook, so they've already got their own player. Size, 1080 by 1080, video settings. People say set that to 75% max because there's no difference between that and 100%, and audio is 128, it's big enough for social media purposes. If you want a watermark on the video, you can install your own picture, and then let's call this Samsung 65 NU 8500 Facebook video. Right, this button here organized into subfolders. If you click that, it means that the software will create a folder to put your video in there, kind of like an export folder in a professional kind of environment. If you don't click that, then it will just put this video wherever you tell it to put that video. So once you click finish, and then you get it kind of closes down the software and it leaves you with this render window. There you go. So the lower thirds come up nice and animated, a bit of a bounce to it, easing in. That goes off, and then, as I say, the captions animate in and out as well, which can produce stunning 4K content as well as produce the latest HDR10 plus images. And there you go. Obviously, it's not going to kind of override the professional workflows of Adobe CC software, but if you want to start video editing, then you can. Now, I will say that the Techsmith software, if we go and have a look at the Techsmith software, I think it costs around $300, something like that. So if you did want to buy the Camtasia, it's down to £216. That's because I'm here in the UK, but that's around $300, I think, in the US. But in the UK, you're looking at £216, 1 year maintenance for £43, free upgrades, priority support, volume benefits, Camtasia certification, and for that £216, single or multi-user software key. I've got it on my home PC and my laptop. English or German language versions, installation on up to 2 machines per use, say PC, laptop, compatible with Windows 7s and Mac, and newer. So Premiere Pro will set you back £25-30 a month, I think now, maybe a little bit less if you want the full CC suite. But if you got to weigh up what you need it for. For those quick 30-second, 1-minute caption videos for Facebook, yeah, this piece of software is absolutely wonderful. You can get through timeline and workflows very, very quickly. Everything's very, very user-friendly as well. They've really thought about the kind of interface that we can use and that we have to scrub through. And it's just a really nice overall experience to use this software rather than having to animate everything from scratch or go into a project and just have loads of buttons thrown at you. I say for my professional use, I do use Premiere Pro and After Effects professionally, but Techsmith reached out to us and asked us if we wanted to check out their software. And from what I've seen so far, I absolutely love it, especially for the very quick and easy jobs rather than the more in-depth videos that I have to create. I'll turn to this. All of our social networking needs are done through this, so any videos that we make for social media, except YouTube actually. YouTube I still edit on Premiere Pro and After Effects just because of the kind of work I need to produce for that. But certainly Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any videos we make like that is all done through Camtasia now, which is, I say, it's a very nice piece of software, very basic to use, very user-friendly. And the price isn't bad either. That one-off payment and you get this complete. That's not a bad price at all. Thank you very much for checking out our video review overview. First look at the Camtasia 2018 software. I'll leave all the links in the description for you so you know where to get hold of yours. If you enjoyed this video, then do click that like button. Please do subscribe to keep up with all of our latest tech and gaming videos. And also let us know in the comments what you thought about Camtasia, whether you can see yourself getting into this or whether you want to stick to Premiere Pro or pay that Premiere Pro After Effects kind of cost. And whether you think this is a waste. Just let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your feedback. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.